Whoever comes out on top, Stephen, I mean, there's some massive economic challenges, aren't there, facing them in the US?
And urgent ones. The US economy still very much hurt from the recession that the coronavirus pandemic pushed it into. We had that record fall in GDP earlier on in the year. The IMF expecting the American economy to finish the year 4% smaller than it was at the start of the year. Similar-ish prediction from the Federal Reserve as well. It's expecting a shrinkage of 3.7%. Now, both organisations are expecting an economic bounce back in 2021, but that's dependent on a lot of factors. Think about consumer spending. If consumers don't feel that they can go and spend their money safely because of the health situation, and this is what economists have told me, is that, you're not going to have consumer spending keep up, and that's a really important driver of the economy. People aren't going to go to a restaurant, even if it is open, if they don't feel like they're going to be protected from the virus. A key element of this as well is unemployment, of course. According to the most recent figures, which are for the week ending the 10th of October, there are more than 22 million Americans claiming unemployment benefit. That is a massive unemployment issue that needs to be tackled. The unemployment rate just under 8%. Compare that 22 million figure to the same week a year previously. There were just 1.4 million people claiming unemployment benefits. So a huge difference on the unemployment market, and will be a massive priority for the next president to tackle. Things are improving, but it's a long road to get back to where the economy was before the pandemic struck.
And of course, the other thing we need to talk about, the big elephant in the room, is stimulus. The stimulus package for the economy. It's been ages they've been talking about this. It's going to be, of course, a matter of urgency when lawmakers get back to Washington.
They didn't manage to get a deal done before the elections. That's going to be the urgent issue when they go back. And there's a couple of really key issues where that stimulus is badly needed. For example, extending unemployment benefits. Earlier on in the pandemic, they put in place a system where people were getting $600 extra a week if they'd been laid off during the pandemic. That ended at the end of July. So those people have been going without that money since then. More support needed for small businesses, because that original small business support program has been closed as well. There's a question over stimulus payments. American taxpayers got a check for $1,200 earlier in the year. Lawmakers want to make sure they can get them more money as well. And then there's the airlines. Airlines furloughed over 30,000 people when their federal aid ran out. There's a lot of people who are counting on lawmakers getting their act together and getting a stimulus act passed, and that's going to be a priority when they go back to work in Washington.
Let's talk about another economic issue. This, of course, an election characterised by record spending by campaigns. How much money are we actually talking about here, Steve?
We won't get the full official accounts until the end of January from the campaigns, but there have been periodic updates from them in recent weeks. The non-partisan Centre for Responsive Politics has put together the projections of what they think those final numbers will be. It's eye-watering. $14 billion is what they say has been spent over this electoral cycle. On the presidential campaign, $6.6 billion, and across the rest of the House and Senate races, $7.3 billion. It's more than double than what was spent on elections in 2016. It's absolutely massive. Across party lines, Democrats outspent Republicans 2-1. Remember, though, this includes the primary campaigns, the likes of Michael Bloomberg and Tom Steyer, billionaires themselves, having spent more than $1 billion of that $6.9 billion being spent by Democrats. They'd, of course, also seen a big increase in donations. Briefly, a look too at how it breaks down between donations of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Joe Biden got more donations. He's expected to be the first candidate to pass the $1 billion donation mark. The last accounts run to the middle of October. They say he was around $940 million. Donald Trump, just under $600 million in donations. Massive numbers involved in this election.